The surprise call from the Reserve Bank board to keep interest rates on hold today really blindsided the market, caused the Aussie dollar to lift sharply. Here's the intraday trading price for the dollar against a range of global currencies. You can see it's lifted against the greenback, the yen, the euro, the pound, and the Kiwi dollar as well. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Callow, Senior FX Analyst at InTouch Capital Markets. Sean, thanks for your time today. I've said the word surprise a bunch of times. Were you surprised by the Reserve Bank's decision?
Yes, very much so, Ed. When I saw it, I had to double take and just was thinking of all, particularly in the interest rate market, how much money just got lost. But also, yeah, disappointment from, say, the public who had been guided by so many forecasters, including ones who used to work at the RBA and so on. We're talking about very informed people who were very surprised. So, yes, I was surprised, and the Aussie dollar reaction tells you that FX traders were as well.
Yeah, just give us a sense of that sharp lift in the Aussie dollar. How severe a reaction is that? Do you often see the dollar lifting almost 1% in just a short matter of time?
Well, look, I've been around long enough to see bigger moves than that, but it was pretty sharp, certainly in terms of, I'd say probably for the Aussie to bounce, it takes a lot more for the Aussie to bounce sharply, almost 0.5% immediately, rather than fall. It does tend to, as they say, go down by the elevator and up by the stairs, the Aussie. So it can be very jittery. And so it was a sharp move. I guess it was tempered a little bit by the expectation, well, okay, that guidance, as you were talking about before, is that we have to wait till August, and they're probably still on an easing path, so that will undermine support for the Aussie going forward. But no doubt it was a big surprise.
Yeah, when you look at the Aussie dollar and the sort of the fundamentals, assuming there is another rate cut or a couple more cuts later this year, where do you think it could finish up the year at the end of this calendar year, the dollar?
Yeah, look, it's certainly probably going to be a bad year overall for the Aussie against many currencies. If we look at how it's traded for the year against, say, the euro and the Swiss and sterling and Kiwi and even the yen, which offers you almost no interest rate pickup it's had a very bad year. And I think that's telling you a lot about global investors, that they think that the Aussie is one of the key casualties of the deterioration in global trade. The US tariffs, okay, maybe they're not quite as bad as it looked on April 2nd, but they're pretty bad. And I think even Michelle Bullock admitted that. So I think with that in mind, for the Aussie, Aussie may still end up higher on the year 67 perhaps, or 68 at the end of the year against the US dollar, but probably only because the US dollar is weak. So if we get those the US economy slowing down, rate cuts from the Fed, finally, some more there, then I think that can support the Aussie against the US. But I think it's really going to struggle against many other currencies.
Yeah, you mentioned the US and President Trump and his tariffs. They're meant to be coming back in place on the 1st of August. And I think just overnight, they've announced big tariffs on both Japan and South Korea. I mean, if this trade war does escalate again, I mean, what might that mean for our currency?
Yeah, I think it's big trouble, really. And that's really what the main reason why I was surprised today. Governor Bullock talking about the dissenters today were worried about the outlook for the global economy and what it means. And I just don't think that the trade situation right now is significantly better than it was on May 20th. Unless you're just looking at the US stock market as your guide, that's not a very helpful way of telling what does it mean for the Australian economy. We've got all sorts of complications for our major trading partners. 2/3 of our trade is with Asia Pacific, and they look to be set for some pretty hefty tariffs from the US. Trade's going to be redirected, growth's going to be slower. So I think that that's going to be something that really weighs on the Aussie dollar going forward. And that's, I think, why we see a lot of speculators are still betting heavily against the Aussie.
And when you look at the RBA, I mean, what level do they like our Aussie dollar trading at?
I don't think they really mind. I will say it's on the soft side in trade weighted terms over the past few months, but it's not super weak. Partly because it's some of the US dollar weakness does spill over a little bit to some weakness in the likes of, say, the Chinese yuan, which is roughly stable.
Yep.
So they're not too fast at this point. But if it does weaken further, then in the mood that they seem to be in right now, they'll be concerned about imported inflation.
Thank you very much. We've run out of time. Sean Callow there. Thanks for coming on the show.